the Business on Top podcast. And you know what you should do to the Business on Top podcast? You should like, rate, review, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, re-rate, re-review the Business on Top podcast. Vijay Patel, Shane Chernoff, Ben Siegel. Let's get it.
This is the Business on Top podcast with Shane Chernoff, Vijay Patel, and Ben Siegel.
I love this company. Yeah!
New York Mets are back.
Hey, good day for you New York Mets fans.
Great day. Uncle Steve Cohen, about to be one of the top 5 richest owners in sports, has purchased the Mets from the god-awful Wilpons, and I feel like a cloud has been lifted over my head. After 40 years of terrible ownership, getting basically bankrupted by the Madoffs, we finally have somebody to come in and save this franchise. I'm very, very excited for next year.
I'm happy for you guys too, as a Yankee fan, even though for some reason, I guess I understand why Mets fans hate Yankee fans.
It's a success, man. Like, the Yankees are a worldwide brand. You don't care about the Mets unless you're from Long Island or like from Manhattan or Queens. Staten Island and the Bronx tend to skew Yankees, but you know, I think we might be in reruns already from episode 1. The real New Yorkers, I would say, are the Mets fans. You being from Queens, that's another conversation that we've already had on the pod. But man, that World Series wasn't half bad, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy one, and we can finally say
it was a crazy one. And boy, it would have gotten crazier if they forced the Game 7 because Justin Turner tested positive.
Okay, that was not good. The way that happened, we can talk about that in a later segment. But we can safely say Clayton Kershaw, one of the best to ever do it now. Well,
yeah,
he was before.
And
now it's like in stone. You could say like he's done his due diligence. And
he did what he needed to do. He led the Dodgers to 2 wins in that World Series. Got them where they needed to be. But another underrated pitcher. Have you seen Julio Urias' stats from? He was unhittable that series. And he was the one that closed out the game, right? He got the last out.
He did. And I in my head, like when you watch him pitch, never in my life have I seen somebody so nonchalantly throw a ball over 100 miles an hour.
I mean, the guy has like a rocket for an arm, and I remember coming up, I want to say that at one of my ballpark trips, I saw him make his major league debut, or if not, like his 2nd or 3rd start. And he was supposed to be like a frontline starter, but what he's turned into is just a very dependable like reliever with a pretty live arm and good stuff.
Has he always been with the Dodgers? I don't even.
Yeah, he came up as a prospect with the Dodgers. I don't know if he was ever traded as a prospect, but the Dodgers, I want to say, are definitely the only major league team that he's been on.
Man, what I do to have his arm?
I'm gonna look it up just to be sure, because it's always funny when I'm totally wrong about something.
I'm gonna filibuster for you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
So as you're looking this up, what do you think about my Mario stash?
I thought that was awesome, and if you haven't seen it, please go to Business on Top's Instagram page at Business on Top Pod. We have a close-up picture there of VJ's Mario stash, and my God, is it glorious! I mean, how many weeks of growth is that? Is that months? Is that like months of growth on the facial hair?
It was actually 1 month of not shaving.
Wow, that's crazy. So what's the move now? Are you just sticking with it and you're just going to rock through November?
I'm going to see. I've gotten mixed reviews on the stash and the beard itself. So I'm going to let it grow for another couple weeks, see what people think. I'm going to get it trimmed, make it look nice, see what people think about it, and then we'll go from there. But as my co-host, what do you think about it, beard?
You gotta do whatever makes you happy, man. Like I think you'd be able to grow a heck of a Movember stash, or at least be able to maintain it. I got some beard oil upstairs, and as you can see, my facial hair isn't growing quite as well as yours does.
You can take some of mine.
Yeah, I was gonna say I work best with what I got. Next, we shave VJ and paste some of his hair on my face next. No. Hang on. So I got his stats pulled up.
Okay.
He debuted in 2016 as a 19-year-old with the Dodgers.
Oh my.
His ERA actually was not that bad, 3.39 ERA.
Well, if he was throwing 100 miles an hour, I mean, I can imagine it was okay.
Lowest whip of his career this year, 1.14.
You want to explain what whip is to these?
Yeah, so if you don't know baseball stats, that is walks plus hits per inning pitch. In other words, if you take all of his innings and you average the amount of walks plus hits he's given up, it's 1.14. Generally, you want that. The elite pitchers are under 1, but even if you're like under that 1.25 figure, you're pretty darn good.
Right.
And I don't want to go fall into like a statistical rabbit hole. But after the show, you and me and Ben sometimes play like a fun game that's only fun for the three of us, where we just look things up on Baseball Reference.
Oh, speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up, because you, Ben, and our friend Nick, our good friend Nick, who hopefully, again, putting another plug out there.
Maybe a fourth mic for the pod.
Exactly.
You never know.
It's coming soon, Nick, buddy. It's here for you when you get back down. You guys are You guys are like the almanacs of Baseball Reference stats.
Yeah. Well, I can explain to you why I did that. I watched a lot of SportsCenter, and I didn't have a lot of friends. So I mean, that kind of was just what happened. I ended up watching baseball. I remember, even in like freshman year, they called me the Almanac, but they didn't call me the, popular kid or like Mr. Cool or anything like that. I'm still definitely not Mr. Cool.
It's amazing. I mean,
in character as Orange Cassidy, I think I'm doing a little bit better though.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I was saying, especially Nick. Nick, out of anyone, I know, like, Nick has come out to talk to us about like the most specific moments of our lives growing up.
He's got a photographic memory, man. Holy shit.
I remember him telling me about a time when we were playing rec league ball, and it was like a random game, and he like told me the day, the time, the inning which I was pitching.
He's like a steel trap when it comes to like the dumbest stuff.
Oh my god! And it was amazing. Like, even I was dumbfounded. I was like, I don't remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday.
So like the things that I remember with you are just like really crazy ass stories.
Yeah.
Like I remember, God, I can't remember which one was first. I think there was one trip that you and I took, and it was around the back end of my trip to all 30 major league stadiums. It was a day trip that we took to Detroit. You have to remember this, right?
Of course, I would never forget.
So, we booked this trip about 2 weeks in advance, and I wasn't as busy at the time as I am now. It's harder to get vacation time now because my caseload is a lot bigger. But, starting out as a young associate, trying to accomplish my dreams, still living with my parents and saving rent at the time. Luckily, you're usually like pretty good about being down and like following me on trips, right?
Absolutely.
So, I remember asking you, and you said, screw it, let's book it. Yeah. So we booked the trip, 7 or 8 days out?
Yeah, it was about a week and a half, yeah.
That was a Spirit flight, right?
Spirit.
So the flight's on, a Thursday or a Wednesday?
No, I think it was closer to a Thursday or a Friday, something like that.
So anyway, the way that I remember it is that 2 days before the flight, Spirit, who's based out of FLL, gets just this monstrous computer outage, and all their flights had to get grounded for 7 or 8 hours. And they were just behind, and then they fixed their outage the day before. And I remember texting you and being like, okay, they fixed the outage, we should be fine. But because they were so behind, they had to scramble all their jets. And I mean, how do you remember waking up the morning of the flight? Because it was supposed to be a 7 a.m. flight, and I think the plan was to land at 10, potentially Uber across the border to Canada, just to say we went to 2 different countries in one day, and get Timmy Hortons?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god, that was such a crazy day. I remember waking up, and it was one of those moments where it was, I think the flight got delayed to 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. and we were on the
mind you, the game is starting at 12:30.
Yeah, at 12:30, and we were like, should we do this, or do we get the voucher to go another day? And eventually, the flight was on time at that. I think it was 9 a.m. Did we leave at about 8:30?
So I remember the flight being back on time, and I remember they were offering vouchers, and I of course, because my entire life is a negotiation, wanted to go negotiate. Yeah. And I said I wouldn't take any less than $750 voucher. And I said, let's sit on the beach one day, and then we could take 2 flights somewhere else, maybe just do it next year.
But it was one of those moments where I remember, I think we were on the same wavelength too. It was just you know what? Let's just go. and it ended up being the best decision we made.
Well, man, I've never seen Spirit look so confident when they were trying to rush to get back on time.
My God.
They were like, you guys sit your asses down. We need to get off this runway like stat. And it was like hysterical. And then of course you fell asleep the whole flight like you always do. And I stayed. I think I watched the first Terminator. I have some opinions on that, but I would be here all day.
It's like they drugged me on the plane and just I'm out. Like
you have like this uncanny ability to fall asleep and just sleep for like the entire length of every single flight. It's amazing. I wish it honestly is a gift, and I wish I had it.
Sneak peek to Toronto the first time we went. When I passed out, obviously.
Also a good story.
And we were.
We'll get to the details of that one in a second, but go ahead.
A sneak peek. We were about 30 minutes out. We were about to land, and I'm sleeping, and I wake up, and in front of me is a can of what was it?
It had to have been Molson. I wouldn't have gotten anything else.
It was a can of Molson. And he's
like a tall boy of Molson. It wasn't a small one either.
No, it was a tall boy. Shane looks over to me. He's like, "Good morning. Here's your breakfast." We got it down. It was one of the best trips.
Oh man,
now Toronto's our favorite place.
Well, that was kind of how like it won you over, and you were like, "All right, we're gonna do the bachelor party here."
Absolutely. And that was a trip that made me decide. Like once we decided where the bachelor party was gonna be, it's gonna be Toronto.
And like Detroit, that was a trip that almost didn't happen.
Right. We missed Colby on that one, our good friend.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Papa Colby on this podcast, man. Got a beautiful kid, beautiful family up there in Durham, North Carolina, and we miss you very much, buddy. So what I would like to tell you, Mr. Burt, is to subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, re-rate, re-review the Business on Top podcast, and we would love to have you on as a guest. Former fantasy football champion and one of my good friends. I was the best man at his wedding too.
Oh, great wedding! Great,
fantastic, wedding. Legendary wedding.
That's another thing we can talk about at some.
Wedding stories will be good. Wedding stories next episode.
We have so many good stories.
Yeah, no, honestly, we could probably just carry an hour just like doing stories back and forth. But I want to finish up this Detroit story.
Okay.
So we get on the plane and we make it. When do we get to the airport? Like they made amazing time because Spirit for one day decided to be.
They knew who was on the flight.
They had a sense of urgency, and they knew we had a ball game to get to. So we actually had enough time to go get a Coney in Detroit.
Very, very good spot.
Shout out Lafayette, Coney Island.
It was like the most original hot dog spot I've ever been to.
Cash only.
Cash only. They had the old registers where you have to you hear the click like the old typewriters. They had one of those with the the analog.
Everything was analog.
Everything was analog. The owner or whoever the chef was there, like very like authentic.
That's run the exact same way that it was run in probably 1959.
And that's how I like things, honestly. It's good to have throwbacks and like businesses that still run that way, like old diners. I love diners.
Oh, I love me a good diner with some pie. Diners that have good pie.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. It's like
what kind of pie do you get when you order? I like me some cherry pie if I'm in a diner, but apple pie if I'm eating at home.
I like apple pie. I think I've learned to like. I used to hate apple pie growing up, but my taste buds just changed.
Your palate changes because I have the same thing with sushi. I used to hate sushi, and then I always say this: the California roll is the gateway because it's like such a good tasting roll. It's like very benign. You got a little bit of crab, and you start to experiment with like soy sauce and stuff, and then you start eating like salmon and tuna. Man, it's delicious. And I smoke myself out with the wasabi. You probably do too.
Oh yeah. I don't like the taste of wasabi. So
you don't? Okay.
No.
What do? You just do soy sauce? Like spicy mayo?
I do spicy mayo. I don't even do soy sauce most of the time. I just go in raw.
Nice. Good call. I'm just gonna leave that where it is. But I introduced you to Verner's that day with a hot dog too.
Let's go. Verner's was
Orange Cassie's just gonna look the other way.
I think it was record timing. I think we should be on a food competition. The amount of time it took for us to eat two hot dogs And
we scarfed them down. Because we had to, because it was like 12:10. The game was starting soon. We definitely didn't get in there in time for first pitch.
No, we didn't.
Oh, and then you remember when we finally did get there? I got there was a very conservative Michigan grandma behind me. I remember yelling. We bet on the game, and I remember yelling, "Damn it!" And the lady stared a dagger at me that pierced my heart. And I think we had to move around because I felt so guilty about saying the D word in front of her.
Damn it!
Boy, she better not ever listen to this podcast.
She's gonna be our first.
Next guest.
Next guest on the podcast.
How did you feel when I said "damn it" in front of your grandson?
Oh man, I'm just thinking of like other trips we've been on, but we could.
Well, that Toronto trip almost didn't happen. You want to talk about that one?
Oh, it almost didn't happen because we felt bad because our good friend Kobe.
Well, first of all, we originally weren't gonna go. Sorry, I didn't mean to completely eat you up there.
No, you go for it.
I want to set the scene because we were all planned to go and everything was good.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, we had a case that we thought was going to get set for trial in the summer because no one wanted to go to, even though we were on the docket for the beginning of March.
Right.
No one thought we were going to trial in the beginning of March. We were set for, probably going to go to mid-May.
Right.
And then, the judge surprisingly set us for trial. The case didn't settle. We thought we were going to try the case. So I had to have a very difficult conversation with Vijay and Kobe and was like, hey, I'm not making this trip. You guys should go without me. And then what happened from there?
Well, we talked about it, and we both came to the decision where we wouldn't feel good if we both went and you weren't there. Because, honestly, you're like the glue to a lot of our trips. So
well, I appreciate that.
We felt really bad too. And
the trips wouldn't be worth taking without you guys.
We're those guys that are we feel bad when somebody can't come to something, and I feel guilty, and I feel like I don't think we would have made that trip without you in general. Anyways.
Yeah, well, long story short,
it worked out.
The case settled last minute. You and I ended up making the trip, and God, it was an all-time great trip. That we redid, and I want it to be an annual trip.
Oh my God!
If it's safe to go and they open up the border, I want to go next year.
Well, Toronto is probably one of the safer cities to go to in general. They had the least amount of cases of COVID when this whole thing started going down. Right?
Yeah, there was a brief resurgence, and I think that they're in the middle of that. But here's hoping that we turn the corner and next Halloween will be better, and by this time next year we'll be able to get that Toronto trip. But that's our show. We are going to go trick or treating. Things are about to get weird this weekend. Happy Halloween, everybody. Stay tuned. Stay safe.
Love you, Ben.